Hello, in this video we will be discussing Boolean expressions. This is in the APCSA A+ College Ready curriculum in Unit 2, days 11 through 13. And we will be using Pokemon cards to discuss these concepts. In the curriculum, there is also a link to this illustrated book of bad arguments, which is a humorous take on logical fallacies. And it gives a cartoon and sort of explains it in a way that makes you laugh and that students might find engaging. Some students struggle with this topic, so this would be sort of a way to motivate the lesson. As I said, we will be using Pokemon cards to discuss these concepts, and the reason we use those is because they have lots of information on them, and it's easy to write statements that can be evaluated true or false. And then we'll combine those true or false statements with Boolean operators and or and not to determine the truth values of those compound statements. So first of all, on the Pokemon cards, the information that we will mostly be using is the name, which is up at the top, the hit points, which are denoted by HP at the top right, the Pokemon type, and here are all the Pokemon types, which you can come back to this slide if you need to determine which type it is according to the symbol. They're pretty easy to understand. Fire is fire, psychic is I, and so on. And we'll be using attack damage and weakness. The logical symbols that we'll be talking about here, the Boolean operator and in Java, that's a double ampersand, or is two vertical lines, not is an exclamation point, equals is a double equals. Remember that the Boolean operator is a double equals and a single equal sign is an assignment statement in Java. And not equals is just a not with an equal sign after it. We'll be using the letters A and B to represent statements when we do the truth tables. All right, so here is a famous Pokemon, Pikachu. And I encourage you throughout this video to pause it to determine the truth values on your own. That way you can check yourself. All right, so we have name equals Pikachu. Obviously, his name is Pikachu. Hit points equals 40. That's the HP up here. That is also true. Attack damage equals 20. Attack damage is down here, and so it's 30 on the card, so this is a false statement. Weakness equals fighting. Weakness is here, and that little fist symbol means fighting, so that's a true statement. Type equals water. He's lightning, not water, so that's false. All right, so that's just very simple to write statements that we can easily evaluate to true or false. So now let's put it together with and or. Again, what you want to do with this is you want students to get an intuitive sense about whether these statements are true or false, and then we formalize it with a truth table. So you may want to take a second and determine for yourself whether these are true or false before continuing with the video. All right, so the name of this Pokemon is Zubat. And so this first statement, name equals Jigglypuff and name equals Golduck. Obviously, if those two things are both false, when we put it together with an and, that is still going to give us a value of false. To formalize it into a truth table, we put A to represent the statement in front of the and B to represent the statement after the and. And so A was false, B was false. And when we combine it with the and operator, we also get a value of false. All right, the second one, hit points equals 40, that's true, and weakness equals psychic is also true. So if I say the hit points equals 40 and the weakness is psychic for the Zubat, that would be a true statement, and so you'd put true. In the truth table, that means A is true, B is true, and when we combine it with the and, it's also true. Third example, attack damage equals 30 and type equals grass. So attack damage is not 30, it's 10, and type equals grass. That part's false. But when we say attack damage is 30 and type is grass, that is obviously going to be a false statement. And so the whole statement is false. In a truth table, that means we would get false for the first statement, true for the second statement, but the whole compound statement would be false. Last example. You may be noticing a trend here. So I had false, false, true, true, false, true. So you may be able to predict what this is going to be. Hit points equals 40. That's true. Type equals water. That's false. So we have, when we combine that with an and, that would be false. And so that means statement A was true, statement B was false, and when we combine it with an and, we get false. So the reason it's good to put things into a table this way is that it's easy then to kind of see patterns and make a generalization. And what you should notice with an and statement, I gave all 4 of the possibilities for 2 statements, and the only time we got true was when both statements were true. So the generalization you should need to know for and statements is that they are only true when both statements are true. All right, let's move on to the truth value of or. And again, I encourage you to pause the video and decide for yourself whether you think these statements are true or false. Again, we're trying to build an intuitive sense and then do the truth tables for the formal part. All right, so if we look at this, name equals Jigglypuff or name equals Gold Duck, I think most people will understand that if one or the other of those is true, that the whole statement would be true. So we're going to evaluate that to true. In the truth table, that means the first one was false, the second one was true, and the whole thing was true when we combine it with an or. In this second example, we get hit points equals 70, that's true. Weakness equals electricity, also true. You will get some people that will argue with you and say, if it's an or statement, only one of these can be true. That's a logical argument that is had, and you basically have to come to an understanding in the system that you're working in as to what or is going to mean. What students need to understand that in Java, or is going to be evaluate to true if either of them is true or if they're both true. So in this case, that's going to evaluate to true. So if you have statement A true, statement B true, and you combine them with an or, Java calls that true. All right, next one, attack damage is 30 or weakness equals grass. So the attack damage is not 30, the weakness is not grass. Those are both false. So I think most people understand that that would obviously give you a false result. And in the truth table, that's false for A, false for B, and false when you combine it with the or operator. Last example, type equals water or hit points equals 20. Type is water, hit points are not 20, so we get true or false, and that's also going to be true because one of them was true. And so that gives us A is true, B is false, and when we combine it with or, we get true. Again, we want to look and see what's the patterns. We had one of each possibility here, and what we notice is they're all true except for this one, which means you only get false if both of the statements are false. And so that's the generalization for or statements that you need to know. They're only false when both statements are false. All right, let's look at not. So not just means it's going to reverse the truth value of whatever's after the not. So on this one, name equals Jigglypuff. And again, pause the video if you want to do them before I show you the answers. So if name equals Jigglypuff is false, which it is, the not in front makes it true. In a truth table, we put A is false and not A. Remember the exclamation point means not. That makes it true. All right, we can put that in with and combine them with the and or operators. If I say not hit points equals 40. So hit points is 40 is false. So not makes that true. Weakness equals electricity is true. So I have true, and with an or statement, we said that gives us true. In a truth table, we have A is false, not A, true, B, true, and we're combining not A and B with an or operator. So we have to look at those two columns. Those are both true, which gives us true for or, because or is only false if they're both false. All right, last example for not. Hit points equals 20 and type equals water. So hit points equals 20 is false. Type equals water is true. So we have an and statement. Notice that the parentheses are around the whole and statement here. So we have false and true. We know from before that it's only going to be true if they're both true. So putting a not, so this part in parentheses is false. The not in front makes the whole thing true. And the truth table looks like this. A is false, B is true. When we combine it with and, we get false. We put a not in front, we get true. Okay, so that is the quick overview of not, or, and those are the truth tables put together there for you. Not just reverses the truth value of the statement that it has. Or is only false when both statements are false, otherwise it's true. And is only true when both statements are true, otherwise it is false. All right, so that's a quick summary of Boolean logic for and, or, and not that you'll need to use in Java.